Aloha and welcome back, shifters, dreamers, light guardians within this holographic matrix. Thank you so much for joining in once again. My name is Brendon and we are welcoming you to another Paradigm Shift Central Synergy Circle broadcast presented on behalf of ParadigmShiftCentral.com, a global project about being able to bring together a team of conscious creators and leaders, shifters, people who are intentionally helping assist with the shift in consciousness. So if you're tuned into this broadcast and that sounds like something that you're already involved with, then welcome. You are part of the team simply by being here, simply by tuning in, by being a part of the ongoing story that we are weaving together. And what is that story? Again, this is a story about the coming together of a global team of real world cosmic superheroes, of people who are changing the world through the power of compassion, through the creativity, through the community facilitation, and being able to inspire each and every single one of us to continue to step into our potential as dreamers within the dream. So with that said, I just want to be able to acknowledge the fact that we got some fellow awesome creators here with us live tonight. So for the fellow creators who are here tonight, fellow leading members, let's just gently unmute our microphones and make some noise and send some love out to all the people who are tuned into this. So go ahead, just make some weird animal noises. Love you guys. Woo! 2020. Woo, woo. All right. All right, thank you again, fellow leading members, for being here. Again, for those of you who may be brand new to this, my name is Brendon, and as we get rolling through this, please feel free to drop those 1111s into the chat wherever you happen to be tuned in, and especially if you can confirm in the YouTube chat, drop an 1111 in the YouTube chat if you can hear me. If it's your first time tuned into this broadcast, drop a 222, stick around, and you'll get to be able to experience what these Paradigm Shift Central broadcasts are all about. So quick house rules and everything like that, ParadigmShiftCentral.com, you can check it out there. Mystic Spider-Man, follow me on Instagram for my personal profile. We got our new Paradigm Shift Central team page on Instagram that is growing, and we are featuring various conscious creators there. And of course, you can support on Patreon, which is patreon.com/Brendon Culleton. And again, when you support on Patreon, you have the option to be able to join as a leading member, which is what we are doing here tonight. The leading members get to join on air during this broadcast. They also have access to me as their conscious media creation coach, and to be able to have other elements of the project to their available resources, such as being able to help feature them through the content, to assist them as entrepreneurs, help them build their own Patreons. And you can also get a fancy Lumerian Light Guardian crystal when you sign up at the $11 level, and discounts for the item shop. Pew 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 pew. All right, awesome. If you have any questions about the Patreon, be sure to check it out later. But nonetheless, we got lots of content online through the Paradigm Shift Central project. In particular, just as some quick news and update, we did have a really special guided global meditation on the recent Wolf full moon eclipse, and I encourage you to check that out on my channel after this broadcast, even if it is your first time, and be able to experience that. For those of you who have never tuned into our meditations before, they're very different. They're very like story oriented. It's like listening to an audio book and you're the character within it. So very exciting. And again, you can find that at youtube.com/Skull Babylon, and also at Paradigm Shift Radio on iTunes. You can subscribe there to be able to check out all of the past broadcasts. And so again, the Synergy Circle broadcast, the reason why we do these, this is in alignment with one of my goals of being able to, over the next 5 years, help support over 100 fellow conscious creators and becoming self-sustained in what we do for a living. Basically meaning, you know, like what happens when more and more of us as artists, as leaders, are able to rise as entrepreneurs and to be able to focus more of our intention and energy towards sharing our gifts, towards sharing our passions, towards sharing our magic with the world. That's just part of what we're doing here. But again, also, we are moving the story forward in terms of coming together as a team of shifters, of people, again, who are intentionally helping assist with the shift in consciousness through acts of creativity and compassion. And whether you are involved in this broadcast as a leading member, or you're simply here, let this broadcast be something that will fuel your spirit. Let the story of it be something that you see yourself as a part of, and let it be something that encourages each and every single one of us to keep stepping into our power, to keep stepping into our passion, to know that the little things make the big difference, to go out there and do things like free hugs, to help build community, to understand from a higher perspective how things like synchronicity work, and how those elements of understanding reality are helping bring us together, are serving us in being able to help assist and accelerate the shift in consciousness. And really quick, again, what is the shift in consciousness? Because, right, maybe some people are tuning into this for the very first time. There's layers to it. I want you to explore that question for yourself. But ultimately, just to really get to the kicker, this is about being able to shift the paradigm and understand that we are more than our physical body, that this reality is more than what it seems, that we are incredibly powerful creators within this shared dream experience, to put it that way. And so again, just being able to share in the exploration of what does it mean to be multidimensional beings here on this earth plane, and how can we serve as being conduits for that conscious wisdom into mainstream culture. So that's a big part of what we're doing. We're helping change the world by shifting the paradigms, by stepping up as leaders, by creating patterns and habits that will continue to ripple out through the years, through the generations, and through the stories that you share, through the love that you share as well. So again, we've been doing this project for over 10 years. If you're looking to get involved further, you can also connect to our team chat. That's open to the public, and then the leading members can get exclusive access to it. So check out the info in the YouTube, and you can connect to our team chat there. And again, please feel free to just direct message me over Instagram as well, to be able to message me if you have any questions. So in terms of what to be able to expect from this synergy circle, we're going to go around the circle, and this is a chance for us as leading members to essentially practice communicating. And that's a big theme within this project, is the more we practice, the more we can kind of practice stepping into these archetypes to become familiar with, sharing our passions on air to a live audience, to be able to practice activating our throat chakra. And again, to be able to invite people here to celebrate in what we are creating individually and collectively. So for each of the leading members here, absolutely go follow them on their various social media channels. Check out what they do. Each and every single one of them is a creator in their own right. And so we're going to go around the circle and introduce a little bit more about what each one of them does, and allow them to tell you. And again, even for me, this is a great opportunity, because we actually have 2 new leading members who are joining us fresh on air today. We have LIse Mitchell, and we also have Kris Kulick. And again, both of them recently joined as leading members. And so by seeing them join, I hope it inspires other people to be like, sweet, I can jump in on this too, maybe next week, right? So think about that. And again, this is a great way for us to just be able to celebrate what we are creating together. So by us being in the circle here, this is actually going to be like a lot of opportunity for me to get to learn more about LIse, to get to learn more about Kris. And then beyond that, we're going to continue connecting as a team as well. Quick note for those of you involved as leading members and otherwise, we do have our regular scheduled work period on Monday at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and that's when you can jump into another chat like this that's off air, and that's where we can do brainstorming. You can get more like one-on-one time with me, and then again, you can schedule in one-on-one brainstorming time with me as your conscious media creation coach at any point. Real quick, for those of you who are involved with this community, really encouraging and reminding you about the importance of tuning into these broadcasts when you can on a regular basis, ideally being, again, one each week. Even if you don't listen to all of it, at least to be able to get some of the updates at the beginning of the broadcast if you're able to do that. And again, this is the first broadcast of 2020. Like, oh my goodness, we made it. This is really huge. And again, really bringing in a lot of intention into 2020. Like, how many people here, can I just get like a big thumbs up and smile if you're excited about 2020? Like, this is actually like really huge. Like, because I remember, and we can talk more about this as we go, like even just back in 2011 and 2012, I was like, 2020, okay, that's like a really cool milestone. And by that milestone, I had this vision of just like really like feeling that support of the universe. And again, basically like being at that point as an entrepreneur where I'm just like, sweet, this is my passion, this is my devotion, and I'm able to focus on this. And again, knowing that each and every single one of us is working towards more of that possibility as well is very, very exciting. So I think this is going to be a really huge year for us as leaders to show what is possible and to do some awesome manifesting. So other than that, just in terms of very quick updates that I'll share, and then we'll go around the circle. We'll pass it to, well, actually, I'll let Brianna or LIse, I'll let either one of you decide. LIse, if you're eager to go first, that's totally cool, because again, it's kind of like jumping in, but again, just to get familiar with the routine, by all means, we can also have Brianna go first, and then Kris will get you in there as well. But just in terms of content, yeah, it's content wise, a lot of my focus right now, just in terms of my own personal updates, has been being able to focus on building the Patreon, and basically being able to focus my intentions towards getting the Patreon up. And that's something that by me doing that is like really important, because it supports the project, but it also proves what is possible. And I'm getting like good at building the Patreon. And now part of my intention is to be able to help fellow leading members also get good at building their Patreon with various techniques and tactics. But again, also in addition to that, another thing that I'll just share real quick is during we had a meeting a couple weeks ago that was really, really cool, where in my local community there's actually quite a few, and this is just kind of cool, like again, me sharing this story is a way for us to be able to document the shift in consciousness. So I'm like sharing with you updates in terms of cool things that are happening in my community that I'm involved with that relate to the shift in consciousness. So I'll just share this quick note really quick. Basically, in the community that I'm in, London, Ontario, Canada, there's a variety of people, and we've all gotten to know each other, and each and every single one of us helps create different conscious events. And there's like an event known as like Good Vibes Only. There's Archer and Cow. There's a guy named Joseph. He does a lot of singing bowl or like sound healing stuff. Nicole also does some singing bowl stuff. And together a couple weeks ago, we all met at a table, and we basically were just like, okay, we've all been doing work individually. Now 2020, this is a great time for us to be able to come together, and let's start visioning how we can support each other more, and how we can like plan some like really, really dope conscious event in the future. Because the events are so important. The physical events are so important. And I say that because again, even I know Brianna, you facilitate events. LIse, I assume you're also like in the process, you facilitate events as well. And so again, just knowing that through that simple, just me sharing this, I want to be able to constantly, again, encourage and remind people that they can create conscious events where they are. One of the elements within the Paradigm Shift Central project is the creation of paradigm shift communities, which are at their core open-minded discussion and meditation circles. And I'm looking on getting back into resuming the Paradigm Shift Central London, the Paradigm Shift London open-minded discussion meetings that we've had in the past, again in London. I kind of stepped back to focus on some other stuff, but I'm really, really excited to, again, be able to combine like meditation, discussion where we talk about metaphysics, spirituality, and, you know, fringe things, and then also dance and ecstatic dance, and also, again, like music and sound healing, and lots of really cool stuff there. So I just wanted to share really quick, again, just kind of within my micro community, it was really cool to see these leaders coming together, and that's something that I'll share more updates on as we go. Other than that, for the leading members, there's a lot of stuff that I still want to be able to share with you on the horizon, such as us being able to like bring more focus to creating and posting content specifically for the Paradigm Shift Central website, but that will kind of come in time. Right now, the core thing that I want the leading members to focus on is really just like our individual Instagrams, our individual Patreons, and just getting a little bit of clarity on how we can kind of get the gears rolling there. And then as we move into February, we're going to start focusing more on the website publication. That will also come from traffic driven from the team Instagram page to the website as well. And yeah, I know there's a lot of work that I'm going to be doing, just refining the project. And again, your guys' feedback is always important to me. And again, keeping in mind that we're doing something here that has never been done before. So part of the process is kind of figuring it out as we go, refining it as we go. And again, it's kind of that idea that you can't steer a parked car. So the fact that we're still evolving this project and it's still growing and it's still here, I think is a cool reflection, because I just want to remind other people, don't get into that place where you think it has to be perfect and then you end up finding yourself in paralysis. Figure it out as you go, learn as you go. And that's where, again, it's so valuable for us as a community to be able to have each other and have that accountability. For there are going to be times where I'm like, oh, I feel a little stuck, I'm not sure what to do. And to know that we can check in with each other, ask me questions, use me, I'm in your corner to be able to help like hold you to accountability, to be able to just like, so if there's ever a point where you're just like, hey Brendon, like I'm not clear on what my next step should be, reach out to me, we'll brainstorm. And part of what I'm good at is like helping create like a little bit of inspiration and clarity to be able to be like, oh sweet, like okay, here are my options. And there's always an option and everything like that. So again, being able to use my 10 years of media experience to be able to help assist media creators is super, super exciting. Let's pass the talking stick around, and we'll get more into the discussion as a group as we go through the introductions. And one of the things I want to talk about for us here, and even for the people in the chat, is really theming around the topic of passion, and how do we find our passion, and how do we cultivate our passion. And again, passion is kind of like and also kind of the theme of like our gifts, you know, what are our gifts, what are our expertise, what are our superpowers, and really just kind of sharing a little bit of how we are discovering that, how we have discovered that. And again, being able to constantly inspire you, the listening audience, to be able to add your voice to the conversation and share a little bit about what your passions might be and how you support and facilitate your passions, knowing again that passions are literally something that you have to nurture, you have to grow. And I think just acknowledging that that is a thing is also acknowledging the fact that there's a way for all of us to be able to blossom our passions. All right, so who would like to go first? Give me a thumbs up, and we can pass it over to you next. And again, looking forward to just being able to, uh, as we go through this, pass the talking stick to each person, give them a chance to share a bit of who they are, what they do to help shift consciousness, the content that create, the services they provide, and inviting other people here to be able to connect back to them, and even just sharing again, like, yeah, just like how, like, what excites you about kind of being involved with a team like this, and all of us together coming back, Knights of the Round Table, Superhero Squad, whatever you want to think of it. It's a very cool story. For those of you tuning in on Instagram, now is the point where you want to click the link in my bio to be able to tune in on YouTube. Otherwise, you won't be able to hear the other people in the broadcast. So people on Instagram, click the link in my bio now to jump over to YouTube if you're sticking around. With that said, we're going to pass over to LIse. And LIse Mitchell is one of our, again, recent Patreon supporters, one of our recent leading members who has joined in. And again, I'm still getting to know them. And LIse has, again, a really cool expertise in audio, in sound, in music. And just, I watched a little bit of one of the videos from your website. And again, you're talking about a lot of like using music to help people find their voice. Their true voice was the term that I used. So I'd love to hear more about that. And again, just give you an opportunity to share in your passion. So LIse, thank you so much for being here. Passing the talking stick over to you, and everybody in the comments, let's give a nice hello and welcome to LIse. So go ahead, LIse, when you're ready.
Okay, thank you. Hi. Yeah, first, just thank you for holding space for this discussion, and excited to be on board. And this is first in a J circle for me, as you said, and just, yeah, joining this community. And it found its way through the interweb to me. So I'm excited to see and to meet other people and kind of learn about what everyone else is creating as well. Um, I'm based in Scotland at the moment, but I'm kind of working everywhere, and my time is sort of split between kind of an online presence and also in person kind of community based work. So I'm a holistic vocal practitioner, so I'm working with voice in a few different capacities. I do community music facilitation, which looks like group workshops, maybe workshops at music festivals, different community spaces, and it's very much tailored to the needs of the group and the kind of environment. But it's all confidence building through vocal expression. So I kind of integrate lots of different elements from my own creative practice, which is another strand of what I do. So I'm an improvisatory, like live improvisatory musician. So I kind of bring improvisation as a tool and a skill set into a lot of the support work I do with other people, just because I think it's a really powerful and amazing way to kind of break through barriers of like showing up and kind of making sound, and being present for yourself. I also kind of integrate elements of songwriting, and then kind of deeper layers of energy work, which is what encompasses the holistic kind of element of what I'm doing. I'm trying to kind of provide a 360 framework, drawing on different tools and resources for people to use, because everyone has a different approach and way of making sound. And so that kind of falls into maybe some sound healing and speech and language therapy as well. So it's a very diverse area, and very much tailored to like the needs of the group and what people, how they want to use the time. Really, I kind of consider myself as more a facilitator, and I like to use that word rather than teacher or tutor, because I feel like I'm very much part of that learning process as well. And yeah, so like I said, my own creative practice is kind of songwriting, and I've been doing live improvisatory performance for quite a few years now. So I've been crafting that, and I've got two distinct projects. One of them is called Dram for a Song, and that's much more fusion of world, classical, jazz, blues, um, and kind of oral folk tradition from my kind of Scottish context. And yeah, that's my kind of longest standing musical project. And yeah, that's sort of taken me to some festival places and doing busking and yeah, that kind of thing. And that's a solo project. My other project, which is a more recent startup, is called Truth Seeker, and that's much more kind of poetry flow, and I'm kind of trying to craft that a bit more. So there's still an improvisational element to that, like free form kind of poetry. So it's kind of bringing itself into like conscious hip hop as a kind of a framework. And what influences all of these different elements is research on voice. So you mentioned, yeah, this idea of the true voice, which is a concept or an idea that I kind of evolved when I was doing my masters, and basically it's about trying to find that unique quality of expression that is specific to you. It's not about imitating anyone else's sound. It's like connecting with that inner voice, I guess. And it's more of a framework and an approach to working with sound and working with self development through singing and music, rather than like a final destination or an end point. So my true voice today would be different from my true voice tomorrow, depending on how I'm feeling and different factors that are kind of influencing that. So I just came back in October from Mongolia, and I was there for 4 months. And that was like a very intense personal research project for me, kind of going into like ethnomusicology. And I was going over there to learn about overtone throat singing, which maybe some of you are aware of. So if you've not heard of that, I would encourage you to go onto YouTube and you will find a plethora of links there. Yeah, like Mongolian music and Tuvan music as well, which is really super interesting. So I wanted to put myself in a position where I was learning a completely new vocal discipline and a new like way of making sound and using the voice, and was interested if there was any therapeutic benefit as well to that. So that's been like a really intense period of research, which has kind of followed on from this like idea about the true voice, which is kind of this evolving tree that keeps growing. And yeah, all these different elements kind of feed into each other. And yeah, the only other thing to mention in relation to voice work is now kind of quite specific to the quality of this space that we're holding and how we're talking about kind of consciousness, and is a deeper examination of voice as it relates to a kind of spiritual development path. So I kind of recognize that that is intrinsic to anything related to working with the voice, but all of these different elements can sort of stand alone, because some people want to come into the work in a very like kind of with quite a lot of structure and maybe a logical methodological approach, and then other people immediately want to dive into a deeper spiritual framework, um, and explore that idea of like the inner voice, and then maybe a kind of a bigger voice outside of themselves. So that's something that has been kind of evolving in the last year in particular, and something which was a big step for me in coming forward and being present with that and communicating to people like, yes, I'm also doing spiritual voice work, because there was a little bit of fear around fully like stepping into that role. So that element there is something that I'm kind of developing, and through kind of guided meditation and facilitating kind of channeling as well. So yeah, I don't think I've talked for ages, so I don't think I've got anything else to add. But yeah, thank you for the space to share.
I really enjoyed just listening to you. I mean, there's so much that you had to share. That's like, again, just like celebrating the accomplishments. Like, congratulations, because like what you've shared, like, this has probably been like over the course of like the last decade, I assume, right? Like, give or take.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, and maybe like particularly from like 2015 onward,
Yeah,
but like my
yeah.
own sort of creative practice has been like, yeah, long time. Yeah.
Right on, right on. Yeah, and again, and for anybody, Brianna and Kris, you guys, we can pass the mic to you if you just want to again like mention something to LIse here. And again, what we're doing here is literally just practicing, celebrating is what we're creating. And yeah, like I'm really fascinated by again like what you're talking about of how through voice work, like we can kind of like connect with spirit. You know, like we can kind of like connect to like you can almost kind of think of it almost kind of like channeling. And again, it's kind of like we practice it here. And honestly, LIse, if you're comfortable doing so, please feel free to like share any samples that you wish. Like we can just go around and chit chat for a bit. But again, to be able to give people an understanding of what you do, if you want to just like pull open even like a stringed instrument or just like give us something, by all means.
Yeah, I
If you
can do
feel
that.
like it.
It's like, yeah,
As long as it's
putting
not,
me
I
on the
know
spot.
again, it's
Yeah,
just don't. As long
yeah.
as it's not too late where you are, don't need to start a party. So.
Yeah, I mean, how do you want that to fit into the context of what you're doing? Because I'm aware that, you know, I want other guys to have adequate space to share as well.
Yes.
So
Yes. So again, I just wanted to be able to see if Brianna or Kris just had anything to be able to say in reply to what you shared. But literally, just after they share, like even just literally just like a minute sample
cool.
is
Yeah,
fine.
I can
Just
do
to,
that. I just got a new
yeah,
guitar like yesterday
cool,
as a gift from the
cool.
universe. So yeah,
Oh,
I
really?
can
Oh,
do.
that's exciting.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Okay.
Cool.
Sec.
Okay. And Brianna and Kris, did either of you have like either a question for LIse or just like a comment that you want to share?
I just wanted
Um,
to just
just say how cool.
yeah, that was super dope, and also just thanking her for sharing that knowledge. And also, there is a science and a therapy to sound healing. And while I was studying my master's, I took a class on creative and expressive art therapy. And there we did study sound healing and how certain frequencies can actually activate the body's healing methods, activate white blood cells, slow down bleeding. And one of the woman who was researching this, she was on a hike with her daughter. Her daughter broke her leg and cut an artery. And the lady started humming the frequency for slowing blood down. And she stopped her daughter from bleeding out long enough for the paramedics to reach them in the mountains.
Wow.
Mind blown.
Wow. I feel like that's like something that should be in the first aid booklet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, don't forget to hum if you stub your toe. Like, it kind of helps.
It does.
But
Yeah,
to think it's like on a metaphysical level, it's like actually doing even more than what we might know. That's really cool. All right, Kris, if you want to just throw a comment in, please by all means go ahead, and we'll pass it over to LIse in a second.
So I just wanted to say how like incredibly like resonant, like, and how like not even just that, but like how synchronistic it is, like, you know, for me to how grateful I am to be here, first of all, but like, you know, second of all, like, you know, just between what LIse said and like, you know, like what you just said too about like you know, like how you learn through expressive arts therapy. Like I felt like the call to actually go back to college and like, you know, get a finish like get a degree in expressive arts therapy, you know, to kind of be able to hold space like for people like in that way, you know, through not only like, you know, my visual arts, like, you know, through kind of like working on some projects with you know, collaborative art and every collaborative art, but also like, you know, like now like stepping into myself, like, you know, more the role of being able to uh, open up with my voice too, and find that that is like, you know, an avenue of expression that I have like, you know, been able to find as well, like myself. So like, yeah, I'm not going to talk for too much longer, but I'm just like, but that's why I'm literally just
That's
like,
cool.
oh my God, like, you know what I mean? Like, of course I'm in this group video chat, like, you know, like with these people who are like, you know, like expressing and sharing these things, which are like right up my line, like, you know, like, and I think that that's just like a testament too to the fact that why it's so important to really just come together and to be like, you know, joining these type of things that you're doing, like, you know, like being able to facilitate this space where we can you holding space for this, like, you know, and you've been doing it for this for a long time now, but to be able to connect in this way, it's so great because, like, you know, I've never met these two people, two beautiful souls before, but it's so wonderfully like divine timing, you know, and it's like nothing ever happens a moment too soon, you know, like whatever's meant to be will be ultimately, and I'm just so grateful for the opportunity to share amongst such wonderful people.
Oh, thank you, Kris. That was very beautifully said too. And yeah, exactly. I once Kris is gonna talk a little bit more about what they do, and yeah, like I again like, and that's the thing. Like I'm still learning about all the magical things that you do too. But yes, I know that like getting up on the microphone is something that that is a part of your journey too. So sweet. Okay, LIse, we'll pass over to you. Kris, thanks again. And LIse, after you give a little bit of a sample again, please feel free to just kind of let people know of any services that you provide that they might be interested in. And there's already, again, people within the Facebook chat and the YouTube chat just asking how to contact you. So we posted LISE's links into the chat as well as their profile that we tagged. And again, we'll post that into the show notes. So if you're listening to this in the future, just be sure to check the show notes on YouTube, the info in the video, and you'll see the links for all the leading members. So yeah, if you tune into LISE, if you found out about LISE through Paradigm Shift, please feel free to just send them a message and just be like, hey, like I really appreciated you on the broadcast today, because again, let's celebrate each other. And LISE, we'll pass over to you, and you can give us a sample of yeah, some of your superpowers.
Cool. I'll give you link information at the end. So yeah, basically this is some live improvisatory performance. So I want to set the intention for this transmission to kind of send some healing frequencies your way. So I'm just going to do a quick, how is that for volume? I don't want it to distort. Is that okay?
Yeah, I'll keep an eye on the levels, but yeah, that's okay.
Yeah. Cool. So I don't know what I'm going to play, which is always the thing that happens. I'm also, everyone's in bed because it's late here, so I'm gonna kind of
nice soft one.
Chill.
Yeah, I mean, if you feel inspired to sing something about what we're creating together here, that could be, yeah.
Hold yourself down. Connection, and you wanna tune into earth and ground. I have found, and as soon as you start reaching out, oh, wealth of abundance I have found. And now you're gonna let it ring out. Are you gonna let your true voice sing out? 'Cause you know everybody's waiting for you to bring out. Sovereignty gives you access to your crown. So I try to give you a little bit of a throat singing flavor at the end there because it's some new sounds that I'm playing with. But yeah, um, I was not expecting to play to anyone, so thanks for that opportunity.
That was awesome.
That was I'm gonna have to listen back and like
Yeah,
try and digest what just came out there. But yeah,
that's cool.
thank you.
That was a beautiful example. Thank you. Thank you as well.
Pleasure.
Yeah.
So yeah, links and stuff. So at the
Yeah.
moment, Facebook is quite active. True Voice Creations. If you search that, that's basically a channel on there where you will find information about community music facilitation and one-to-one. So I'm also doing stuff online as well as in person. So I've got different pricing for that. There's a reduced pricing for online um, transmissions and support with that, like vocal release sessions. So you should be able to find all of that information there. I've also just released 2 events for vocal retreats coming up. They're taking place in the Highlands in Scotland. So even if you're on the other side of the world and it's not easily accessible for you, then feel free to share. Feel free to drop me a message if you want me to travel to you. Based in Scotland but working everywhere, so I'm excited to find networks and places with receptive communities to do that. So it could be, one-to-one stuff, facilitating jam sessions, doing kind of vocal confidence building for community groups, just generally, or with music related stuff. And then, yeah, if you check out Dram for a Song, that's kind of more acoustic, kind of folky, bluesy vibe. Truth Seeker on Instagram, and YouTube. You will find a link through one of those channels, and also Vocal Peace. Through Vocal Peace, you'll find links to kind of channeling, guided meditation sessions, and like opportunities to do kind of more spiritual focused voice work. So yeah, feel free to check all of that out. And also, I've got a website which is just my full name, lisemitchellnoble.com. So yeah, please feel free to give me some feedback, send me a message if you've got any questions. Yeah, very very happy to connect and chat with you guys. So thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. And again, for everybody looking, the links for that are posted into the show notes, but we are posting it into the chat on Facebook right now, so you can literally connect. And even if you didn't catch all those links, just connect to LISE's profile on Facebook and or on Instagram, and please feel free to just send them a direct message, and that would work just as well. So, but yeah, LISE, that was really cool. And again, I just think there's so much value in what you do, because though it's oriented around music, it's so much more than that, and it's about being able to again help people like invite to just like that infinite flow of creativity that's moving through us. And I think music is again just one of the many ways for any of us to be able to like practice channeling it. And of course, other people could take the same concept of what you're doing and say like, oh, I do that and I do it through dance, and then other people are, oh, I do it through this medium. So again, I think it's really cool that you've been able to develop this expertise within the genre of music, but again, seeing it being so much more and really just helping people again like connect to their spirit and to connect with their passion, to be able to share what's coming through them. And yeah, I'm excited to be able to co-create, and yeah, thank you again for being able to bring your gifts to the table and to share them with us today. Super appreciated.
Nice one. Thank you.
Awesome. Sweet. All right, LISE, if you have to head out early or anything like that, let us know. And again, we'll just keep passing the talk and stick around if there's anything else. Is there anything else you need to mention at the moment? Do you feel that's pretty good? Okay, cool. Perfect. All right, so with that said, we'll pass it over to Brianna or Kris. I could let you two can decide. Like it's neither here nor there. Kris is its first time, but Brianna, if you want to go first, it's up to you.
I'm totally cool with going first.
Brianna will go first then. All right, okay, cool. So quick introduction. Brianna has been around the paradigm shift community. She's one of like the OG like shifters from like 2011, and yeah, they have really been getting into a lot of like different like expertise related to like is psychology the right term?
Yeah.
Is that yeah. So like you got like your BA in this and your diploma in that and all sorts of things. Brianna, how about you just tell them what you do, and I'll just sit back and post your links in the comments. So without further ado, welcome Brianna, and everyone in the chat, please feel free to say hi to Brianna. Brianna, go ahead, passing it over to you. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Brendon. Which to me, you're still nicknamed as Skull in my mind, because I have known you for so long, being involved with Paradigm Shift since 2011. I am known as Breezy Spreadlove on the internet, also known on social media as Breezy Golden G, because I am the Golden Gaian. I'm from Grand Rapids, Michigan, or at least that's where I'm currently based, which is in the United States for everybody who's international. And then I do have my Bachelor's of Science in Psychology, my Master's of Arts in Counseling Psych. I have a holistic health certificate and various other trainings, including like couples therapy and Vipassana meditation. And then I've also taught workshops at festivals, including festivals like Sacred Vibrations in Michigan and Mad Tea Party Jam, which sadly is no longer in existence, but I taught with them for a few years. And then also with Project Bring Me to Life on their online festivals. So I have been working as a mental wellness and angel practitioner for, I would say, roughly 5 years on the DL, while I've been working other various jobs and fulfilling my schooling and stuff like that. So currently I do see angel card clients, and I do have a few projects that I have going. Currently I am hosting workshops for a glass art shop in Grand Rapids called Purple East. And Purple East has been serving the Grand Rapids area since 1974. So they're kind of an OG head shop. And Michigan has legalized recreational marijuana, and therefore there are a lot of businesses popping up. So I'm really happy to host a workshop at a head shop, and be able to reach a certain population of people who might have a stigma towards counseling, and might not be open to getting mental health services from a government-run facility, right? So now I'm going to be based in a head shop, and the workshops that I'm teaching are vision board collages, and we're going to have a paint party workshop. I also had a decorate your own nug jar workshop. So I really like to specialize in art therapy workshops, or workshops that utilize a lot of different modalities. I also was leading a mindfulness support group for a little while, where we just would meditate and we would use different styles of meditation, such as breathing or doing a body scan. So I've done that a lot, but I'm really excited to launch more project reveals through my Patreon, because I listened into one of Brendon's Monday morning calls, and I was really inspired to redo my Patreon. So thank you, Brendon, for providing that space to re-inspire us to work and hone in our abilities. So it was really nice to go through and refresh my Patreon. So go ahead and check out my new Patreon page, and you can see all the different things that I'm going to have available for all you high vibe humans, such as dancepiration videos. Going along with like LIse being more creative, how I do that is through movement. I love dancing with my hula hoop. I really find it a empowering form of expression to move the body and to kind of get rid of stagnation by moving the body. And so I'm going to also do dance videos, which I was a trained dancer from like 8 years old to like 17 years old, and then I went off to college and I stopped dancing. So, but I would dance in my free time or going out to bars and stuff like that. Of course, I would be dancing, and now at festivals I dance even more. So now I want to be able to share that gift with people. Even though I'm not like a professional dance teacher, I still want to be able to share that gift of expression and encourage people to find their own way of moving and dancing. So I kind of want to do a few of those things. That's on my list of things to do. And yeah, just going along with Brendon, when you had started off, you were talking about passions and like what inspires us. And
Yeah, please.
one of
Go
my
into
passions was dancing, right? And as well as anime and kawaii culture and art. So how do I take what I'm passionate about and combine it with all of the schooling that I've had, right? And that kind of came to fruition by creating workshops where I can share my passions and share my form of expression with people through workshops and inspiring them to do that. And then also through Patreon to share my kawaii, cute self through my dance videos, right? And give people kind of like a little window into my private life, so to speak, through those dance videos. So that's kind of like where I decided to invite in my passion, as well as like that superhero inspiration, because like you said, in 2020, what are the projects that we want to create that'll bring us together? And I believe that dancing is something that brings people together. I believe that freedom in that form of expression brings people together, just the ability to be silly. So I might be known as like a silly dancing superhero, but I'm totally okay to go along with that kawaii aesthetic. My friends used to call me the hippie with a gun because I'm so positive, but like when it comes down to it, I will fight for the environment. I will tell off a politician that's not listening, you know. So yeah, I do have that fire energy to me. So thank you for providing this space.
Awesome. Yes, and your headbands like got like the fire like element. Was that planned? Is that a thing now? You just wear fire theme colors.
Correct. Yes.
That's it. That's perfect. It's the season. So cool. Well, that's Brianna. Thank you again for sharing. And absolutely again. You know, like I think what's so important for each of us as creators is to something that I talk about is to be able to like celebrate like our authentic expression, and that in today's day and age is something that people are looking for. I hate to say it, but sometimes depending on what your social media stream may look like, sometimes that can be lacking. You know, a lot of people are trying to look a certain way because they think people expect them to look a certain way. But what happens when we just allow ourselves to show up and to really like hold our weird flag high, you know, like own our weird? Like the world needs our weird, and this is a theme that I talk about like so much and so often. But again, weird is just kind of like an old word for like magical or kind of like otherworldly, other realm and stuff like that. So what we may recognize as weird is something that is needed for this world, something that is going to change the way people think. You know, people need to be able to see other people such as you, Brianna, you know, like just like out there dancing, celebrating your like dancing is such a beautiful thing. And again, similar with music. I like to think of dancing as this way. This is a friend of mine said this, but it's like igniting yourself from the inside out, like igniting the fire from the inside out type of thing. And then it's like the spirit and the soul is kind of moving through you. So again, you know, ultimately, I think for us as leaders, when we really find our passions and really find our purpose, it really tells this story that invites people to know that like there is like a flame inside of them that just needs like a little bit of permission to be able to like start like growing and igniting. And then again, that becomes like a beacon for other people to see. And ultimately those flames, those passions, again, become ultimately like solutions. They become answers to what is needed in a world that is ridden with apathy. You know, so let us bring the joy, let us bring the celebration, let us bring the constant optimism of understanding that the magic within this world is simply under the surface, and you just need to be able to see it. And when we express ourselves, it brings it beyond the surface. And again, and then other people are just like, whoa, like, again, even just people tuning into this broadcast would just be like, whoa, like, you know, like I've never heard people like this talk before. Just, you know, like, because again, we're not just entrepreneurs, we're like entrepreneurs who are here to change the world, and we're here to change the world through art. That's it. Like you look at like art is language, and society is created from language. So we use art to be able to like tell language, which reprograms society. without trying to get too convoluted about it. But again, you know, like art is this is how we like stand up. This is how we rise. This is how we transform culture by, again, sharing our light. Anyways, I was just kind of babbling my skull there for a bit, but Brianna, if there's any, because again, we can pass it to Kris in a second, and what I'd love to get into is just kind of more of the free flow style discussion anyways, and we can talk more about passions and any other wisdom that we want to bring to the circle. Brianna, is there any other particular things you want to mention in terms of either services you provide, or again, just like message for the people out there watching who might need a little bit of inspiration?
Yeah.
No pressure.
So the services I provide are 15 minutes angel card readings for $15, or you can do a whole hour of an angel healing session for $30. And what I really want to, the message I really want to convey to all you have humans out there is we need to step up. We need to nix the status quo. I went on a whole rant about this on my Instagram. Like, if it wasn't the rainforest fires, it's the Australian fires. And if it's not the Australian fires, it's the earthquakes in Puerto Rico. And if it's not the earthquakes in Puerto Rico, it's the war that's going on in the Middle East. There's always something happening, and there's always something that we can do. If you find yourself being like, oh, I'm so bored, there is something you can do out there, and I want to ignite that fire in you. If you feel like you can't do something, come to me. I will try to be that voice inside your head that says, no, you can do something. No, you can do this. No, you can try that. The person that I can be, that person that puts down your negative self-talk and helps to lift you up. Otherwise, you have to be that person. And it's time for us to really step into our power, nix the status quo, invite in your weird, and we need to do this. We need to save the world. Okay, please. Thank you.
There you go, folks. You heard it from Brianna. It's official. So, but yeah, you're right. It's just like, I feel like, again, not trying to like poke fun at it and stuff like that, but it's just like, you know, again, we've kind of like, it's like, oh, the rainforest is on fire, Australia's on fire, all these places on fire. But like, let's talk about the most important fire of all. Let's be like this just in, like, our souls are on fire. And I say that in a good way. I mean that in a good way, right? Like, our souls are this like blossoming, unfolding, beautiful ignition. So that's it. So that's spreading. It really is spreading again. And I think if you look back over the past 10 years, you can see it. Again, you can see more of us. Like, if you think back to where each of us would have been 7 years, we're, again, just figuring things out. And that's where, again, for the people listening to this who are searching for their passion, it's never too late to start, and to know that it's something that kind of like will naturally reveal itself over time. So don't try and like, you know, like be like, oh, I've been doing this for a month and, you know, like I'm not getting the feedback and stuff like that. Again, come hang out with a community like us. Let us celebrate where you are and support you in where you are going. Because again, whether or not I don't care whether you're like good, so to speak. What I care is the fact that you're doing it, and just celebrating that, and that in itself is equally as important to whether or not you to if you're doing this for like 10 years later. But again, just by being able to get started, I think is such an important thing. And again, it's tapping into our gifts, and those gifts were literally like, it is our duty as spiritual beings to develop our gifts, to be able to use those gifts to be able to help change the world. So, Brianna, did you want to just mention your social media channels where people can find and connect with you? And again, for those of you listening to this, also, again, links are in the info below. And then we'll pass over to Kris, and any other gratitude you want to share, go for it.
Sure, thank you. So patreon.com/breezyspreadlove, instagram.com/breezygoldeng, and youtube.com/pearlsangel. And I hope to see all you hive humans on those platforms. Feel free to like, comment, and subscribe, and share with somebody you love or someone you don't.
I like that. That's like a good tagline. It's like, share this video with someone you don't like. It's like, oh, that's actually probably more effective depending on the video. So sounds good. Sweet. LIse, Kris, if either of you want to just express any compliments and gratitude to Brianna, please, by all means, go ahead, and then we'll pass it over to Kris in a second. So, LIse, go ahead.
Super brief. Love your directness and your assertiveness, man. It's contagious. So keep spreading that amazing work. And what you're saying about the dance as a form of expression, I love that, because like movement, I also love to dance, and that is like a form of song and a form of like vocal expression as well, but it's just kind of like more physical. So yeah, and it really resonates. So yeah, keep on sharing that amazing work, man. Look forward to like following your journey as it unfolds.
Awesome, sweet, and again, you know, like that's, I say this to everyone, but as much as we're here like celebrating each other's things, let's just start kind of like planting that seed of like what happens when we start collaborating more, you know. So like what happens when we start like and that's, again, that's with this project, like a lot of it is like really being patient with things and just kind of like understanding people are at where they're at and their focus. Like that's one of the hard things with managing a project like this in today's day and age, is the fact that everyone is so busy. And that's why it's a miracle that we're all able to find time to be able to come together on this broadcast. And what I want to be able to create space for more is just be able to say like, okay, let's set 1 hour to just be able to brainstorm together, to be able to see what comes out of that. Because again, you know, it's like that's like when two overlap, it becomes like a third thing. Something grows from that seed. So when we overlap our visions, our skills, like that's again part of the experiment of this social media project, is to be able to see what ideas come out of us sharing. And again, with all the leaders here, I think it's very, very exciting to be able to hypothesize. All right, cool. Okay, Brianna, I saw your comment. You might have to head out soon, so we'll pass it over to Kris, and then from there we'll get into a little bit of popcorn discussion, and then we'll probably wrap up the broadcast sooner rather than later. This doesn't need to be a 5-hour broadcast, I hope. That happens sometimes. All right, Kris, we're gonna pass it over to you. Kris is again one of our new leading members, and I apologize because again, it's like I'm still learning to get to meet everyone. They've been following me, I think, for a decent-ish amount of time, give or take. And yeah, and now they're here. They're saying yes. They're showing up. They're evolving as a creator, and they'll tell you a little bit more about what they're doing to be able to help assist with the shift in consciousness. So, Kris, if you're ready, we'll pass it over to you. And thank you so much for your support and for joining us tonight.
Yes. Oh, so thank you so much, Brendon, and thank you so much, Brianna, and thank you so much, LIse, for everything that you shared. I wanted to just like, I feel like when we're all sharing in a space like this, like it's like we're all basically like, we're almost like shooting out these webs, and we are all part of this interconnected web. But it's like, that's why, like, when we're in conversation with people and something that someone says resonates with us, it makes us want to just like jump on to like what they said, because they spread out this web, and if it's something that they say hits us, like like they like it's like a multi-shot spread, like we're like spreading out all this information, and then it's like, if just say like one of those little like pellets, or one of those little things that you spread out hits someone, like, then that's gonna like, it's gonna like latch on to them in that way, and like it resonates with them, or it impacts them. There's so many words that we can use to explain what it does ultimately, but it ultimately leaves an impression, like, on us, that and it's because we can relate to it, and ultimately that is us connecting with, like, the commonality of human existence, and like that is what ultimately like tarot seeks to do, like all tarot cards and stuff like that. And that's something that I want to just mention briefly, that I'm stepping into as well, one of these things. And like, and I feel like I'm stepping into the role of being able to give people tarot readings and stuff. It kind of happened in a very like organic and weird way. I really wasn't like planning on being able to give tarot readings for people, but the universe was basically like, it's time for you to start, like, I'm sure you've all experienced, like, it's like when the universe gives you that push where it's like, you're ready to do this, like when you kind of maybe don't think you're necessarily all of that ready to do it. But it was like at this gathering that I went to, where I was actually expecting to be doing something different, but I brought this new deck of tarot cards that I got, and I ended up like, holding space for people, and giving all these readings to people. And I knew I was like ready to do it, because I've been doing it for so long in my own free time for myself. And I think that this is something that we can all like connect to and resonate with, is the fact that we have all these things that we do, like in our own homes, like in our basement, or like that we're doing like by ourselves. And ultimately it's like, we need to feel the and answer the call to step into our role as planetary servers ultimately, and like to give all that we have to give, and it just goes into exactly what Brianna was talking about. Like, it's just like, it's time to step up. And that's like what I made in what I said in my most recent post, where I was like talking about, this open mic night that I did recently. I'm gonna get more into that, but I'm just like connecting all these different things and stuff. But yeah, like it's like, in my last post I was like saying the same thing, that like it's about high time that like we like really start stepping into our roles, and that is collectively like what the energy is telling all of us to do. Like if we are holding back our expression and stuff like that, then we are going to ultimately feel, um like something's missing, like, and that's something that I've like come to realize so much, very like recently, is that like, ultimately, like we can be doing all of these things ourselves and, providing healing for ourselves. But ultimately, like if we're not like expressing and getting out these things to the world, then it's just going to keep like, um delaying the abundance that is infinitely like, abundantly available for us, like the abundance that's abundantly available. But it's there for us, and that abundance happens when we start to share these gifts that we have, not just with ourselves. Like, like if we are benefiting from something, then like that is when we need to turn and share that with other people, so that we can bring people to see and to feel and ultimately experience the healing that we are feeling through our release. And like our release is through these multiple avenues of creative expression. So without further going off on all these different tangents, which I tend to do all the time, I'm just going to say that my name is Kris. Finally getting to that important thing.
It was a slow build up. Slow build up. It was a good drop. I liked it. All right. Yes, go ahead, Kris. Tell us more about what you do and who you are. And this is all just practice too, again. And as long as we're playing with it, then that's the most important thing. So go ahead, Kris.
Yeah, and so just even like talking about, I mean, to go off of what you're saying and stuff like that, and what I'm realizing from just like, having that release of what I just said, it's that, I need to be sharing more ultimately, because we can all look at it in this way too, that, like I'm someone who's so excited to share all of this information and stuff like that. But ultimately, like, in order to have more of a focused and direct expression with like what I want, with what I'm trying to do, I need to practice sharing more in these open platforms and in these open spaces, or else, like, like it's kind of just sometimes overwhelming for a lot of people, because I'm so excited to share. And so many of us are excited, but ultimately, like, like we need to have focus. Like, it's like in a for example, like in an essay or something like that that you write, you can write something stream of consciousness where you just like are going off of every single thing that comes to your brain. But like what's going to keep people's attention ultimately is when you have like a focus, when you have like, a certain like
like a thesis or
yeah, so
something.
a certain organization to like
Yeah.
what you're doing and what you're saying. So like, like I need to constantly remind myself, like, to, and that's like the balance that like, we're all kind of looking for in one way or another. With my expression, it's the balance, like, between the organization and spontaneity. It's like that we're all channels for this light that is constantly streaming, like down to this earth. But ultimately, like, like if we're just like, letting out this like mixed frequency all the time and stuff, then we're not going to be able to direct our energy into these spaces that, like are ultimately going to be like helping us upon our path, like that is kind of direct. Like, we all have this kind of very unique call to service, that is uh that is channeling our expression. And, that's why the whole the word channeling exists to begin with. It's being a channel, like, like a river channels water and stuff like that, instead of it just allowing it to spread all over the surface of the earth in all directions. And so, yeah, and I am going to go back to like what I was saying. So, my name is Kris, Kris Kulick. You can find me at on Instagram at Kris Kulick. It's like KrisKulick. Also on Facebook as Christopher Scott, but I like rarely go on Facebook. Like a lot of the stuff that I've been kind of like working on and building has been on like the platform of Instagram. I'm just gonna like plug in my laptop really quickly because it's on 3%, and I definitely don't.
Okay, go ahead, do that. Yeah, and so Kris, as we're just again kind of like practicing like focusing things and everything like that. Yeah, we'll just take the next few minutes and you can kind of tell us not even just like what you have been exploring in terms of like artistic expression, but also kind of like what you want to explore more of. And again, I know that's kind of why you want to be involved with this project, so that you can kind of like get more focus on, you know, like creating video content, packaging your presentation, and yeah, and I'm excited, man. Like, and I really appreciate like your enthusiasm. Your enthusiasm is very very palpable. So go ahead, pass it back to you, and you can just tell us a little bit more about what you're creating, what you're visioning.
Yeah, so I've been trying to write down the different talking points. So that's like one thing that I need to be doing more ultimately is is organizing myself better, like you were just saying. And so here it is. Whoa. Sorry, I needed to disconnect it from my speakers. Coming out in a weird way. But so some of the things that I've been working to express and get out there, like some of the different forms of expression in which like I've been opening up to and everything is um the most recent thing. I guess I'll start out with that so then I can kind of flow into the next thing. But it's like with being able to hold space for people to express themselves through open mic nights. So I held my first open mic night ever. I hosted it for everyone, and this was this past Friday. And like just going off of the words, the wording that you said before, it's like this is what I've been doing, within this micro community. And we all ultimately, like are doing these different things within like like this our smaller community, like our community that we can like reach out to, that's within like this physical distance. And then we have like like this like community of people where like like I'm based in New Jersey, but like you guys are based in, I think you said Massachusetts, or like a different like area. And yeah, so within my immediate kind of like community and stuff like that, I've been opening up. And it's kind of in this way that I never really imagined that I would open up into, like holding an open mic night for other people, for people to express themselves. But I've found that, just to kind of go off of what you were saying, Brianna, and what you were saying, like LIse, with like, the different forms of expression that you are like getting involved within. It's the fact that I think that that collectively we're like shifting out of this mindset that like we're almost taught since like a young age in school, where it's like like what do you want to be when you grow up? And it's like there's like a line where it's like you write like one thing, but ultimately we are all like multi-dimensional, multifaceted individuals that all have so much to give, and so many ways in which we express ourselves. Like we are all like essentially like creators, so we are constantly creating our reality every day. So like for me, something that I have trouble with like is directing my energy, because I almost like sense so much the fact that like the words that we use to say like like, oh, I'm a like way shower, or I'm this, like we attach these labels to ourselves that ultimately are like, this is what I am. But we are all so many different things, and we all do have so much to give in so many different creative respects. So like um yeah, I just wanted to, I guess, like say that little bit to talk about something that Brianna said too. I've like found a way of physically kind of releasing and expressing myself through ecstatic dance as well. Like that has been like a form of expression that I've been stepping into. Um, so aside from this open mic night that I had was at this place called the Heart. It was called the Heart of Art, and like I was so grateful for the people to allow me to hold this space for people, and it turned out so well. And I've been, stepping into not only just holding open mic space, but like getting out there and rapping myself, like getting out there spitting some bars, and singing ultimately too, and stepping into that thing. So like that's why it's so wonderfully synchronistic that I've like stepped into this space tonight, and I'm here with both of you who are literally doing work for a lot longer than I have, like in those realms of expression. And like with like you were saying before with expressive arts therapy. And I think that, like that is like, that it assures me that I'm like on the right path, like, to be like stepping in this space, like, and to be hearing that ultimately, because we are all reflections of each other. And, like giving out like our energy and sharing it with others, we can, and when we're like stepping into more of our true selves, then we just start to see like and to hear the affirmations that like we're on the right path, that we're doing like the right work and ultimately and everything.
Mhm.
So yeah, I'm not gonna go into way too much more because I know that I've already talked for a while, but I just wanted to I guess say like the last two things basically were, which was that aside from opening up and holding this open mic space for everyone, I've also been just having friends over all the time to do collaborative art pieces with them, and I think that that's really shifting the paradigm within the artistic world. I want to work with that more because within the art world, it's almost like it's this very like a lot of times like individual artist kind of thing where it's like like I don't really want to work with anyone else, but I really like enjoy the aspect of working with people on art pieces and stuff in holding space like to open up for people to join me in creating different things because it's like it it breaks down these barriers of separation and of like constantly judging ourselves because like and also like it shows us a different way of looking at the world and a different way of looking at the things that we're creating because when a lot of times we have this like single pointed perspective on things, and when we have other people working with us in the same space, then someone may be able to say like, oh, like I see what you're drawing as this, and then that maybe like takes you on an entirely different route as opposed to you just going at it with this single-minded focus. Like when we get multiple minds on something together, then we can start to like see the world in all of these different ways. So that is like ultimately like I find one of the most beautiful things about like collaborative art and stuff. And aside from the last thing I was going to say was like that I just recently also arranged a group chat with a bunch of people called like what was it? It was a collective creative curation, and it's like just a group chat with a bunch of these people that I connected with at the open mic night that I've been connected with in the past. And it's like a space to share like and talk about um, brainstorming ideas for future events and stuff like that, and spaces that we can hold within my community. So like I really feel the energy of me stepping into more of my full power and really giving all that I have to give, and it feels so good. And I feel like so much less like like we feel so much less not heard. Like we are ultimately like heard and seen more because we are showing ourselves more. And it's like it's not that hard of a concept. Like it's kind of like one of those things. It's like why am I not like being seen? It's like maybe you're not showing yourself enough ultimately, and like getting out there. So yeah, that's kind of just all I say. Yeah, I could go on
Yeah, that's awesome.
yeah, thank you so much for providing this space, and I'm so grateful for this. Oh yeah, last thing was just like that, like even tuning into this video chat was so crazy because like I felt called to do it, and I was reminded by it by the universe when I was driving home from work today, and I saw like on the side of like it was like someone's license plate, and it said like Wolf, and I was like, wait, like,
Uh,
Brandon Wolf, like what I mean? Like this, is
that
where
was me.
I was like, this is where I need to be tonight.
That's funny.
Yeah.
That's so cool. That's awesome. Well, dude, thank you so much for sharing. And again, absolutely, like just the reason why we're here as a team is to just be able to like be in this space of hearing us talk about our excitement. And again, for us to be able to practice documenting the shift in consciousness through the recording of this broadcast. So again, like knowing that you're creating these open mic events, you got your conscious creative collective type thing going on. And again, just like knowing that like each and every single one of us is so busy behind the scenes, and the amount amount that happens within a week is just more than we can fathom. And then again, for us to be able to come here and in a way just kind of like unload and decompress and relax and celebrate, and then again to be able to say like, okay, let's keep carrying this momentum forward. And that's the main thing, is like, how do we keep the momentum going, right? Because this is one thing, and I said this a broadcast before the New Year's, but I was saying like the year 2020 is going to be the year of, let's make it the year of no burnouts, right? So like when you think about it, because like burnouts don't have to happen. They really don't. Like, I mean, yes, there can be extenuating circumstances, but to the best of our ability, let's make it so that, again, we're kind of like riding a wave of taking care of ourselves and then showing up as community, and broadcasts like this just continue to inspire us. And so I know we're going to get pretty close to wrapping it up soon, because, again, LIse being in Scotland, Brianna's going to be heading out, Kris just got to share. Before we move into a next phase, I would actually love if we can just kind of like practice doing some like freestyle together, like literally, because that's literally something that we've done in the past in other broadcasts, and I'm sure you guys see me do this during broadcasts, during like the tarot and other times. But if we want to try this, like let's just kind of, again, let's go back to what I was talking about. Well, let's see what happens when we practice bringing that creativity into action right here during the broadcast. And LIse, if you want, like we can literally like open our mics, and LIse, if you want to like even play some music in the background, you could. I'm open to kind of like what we feel might be like kind of a cool way to get into this. But again, and Kris, you were talking about like being able to like practice some freestyle and stuff too. So yeah, I open up the circle. What do we feel like would be a cool way to be able to practice a little creative expression and creative channeling right here on the spot?
Popcorn poetry.
Popcorn poetry. That's basically like poetry that we pass around, right?
Right.
Ooh, that's good.
Now I'm hungry too. Okay, cool. Caramel popcorn poetry. We can practice that, absolutely. We'll do that, and then LIse, if you feel like you might just want to add in some like ambient strings in the background,
yeah,
by all means. By all means.
Well, it's a tool. I can pick it up and put it down. Yeah.
Amazing how it works like that, right?
Yeah.
We're the tool. That's.
Yeah.
I hope the people understand that that's where like the name Tool, like the band name Tool. It's like us. Like we are the tool. We're like the instrument, right? Like that's us, right?
I didn't know that.
Like, it's like, why were they called Tool? But it's like, oh, it's talking about it's us, right? Anyways, I saw Tool in concert a while ago. So good. I've seen him twice now, but that's the story for another time. All right. I'll offer anybody else who feels like they might want to start, if they want to start. And Kris, since you were just talking, do you want to give like any practice? Do you want to start off first? No pressure. No, like I'm fine
You're
starting.
on the spot
so
now.
Yeah, you've inspired us.
I can lead the charge if that helps.
Dance monkey dance.
We're going into the unknown right now. So, all right, for those of you who are in the live chat, drop some 1111s if just to be able to like cheer us on as we do this, because we have no idea what we're doing. But that's exactly the point. So, because again, okay, first of all, I'll give you like a couple tips for people who are listening to this. One of the ways to be able to approach this is to be able to kind of like get into that mindset of understanding that like the message is already there, and we just kind of have to like get out of our own way to be able to like practice, again, kind of like eventually get to the point where it's very much a flow state. And you try not, and the things that will stop you is if you try to like think like, if you think too hard about it, then usually you'll overthink it. So it's about kind of like not feeling like you can go wrong, and to know that this is just practice, and to know that like everyone here is like safe and supported, and to not even worry about rhyming, and to just be able to like speak from the heart and speak from intention. So give me 2 seconds here and I'll see what happens.
I can start, yeah, if you want.
Okay, I'll well, Kris, do you want to start? Like I won't stop you if you want to start. Yeah. Otherwise I'll start. Okay, go for it, Kris, and then I'll join in next, and we got LIse on the guitar, right. So okay, whenever you're ready, dude.
Don't worry about rhyming. It all comes in divine timing. When you're in the flow state, everything happens so great. All that I want to do is express myself in this light today, in every which way, flowing and going like this river. I'm just zooming out like I can see it omnipotent. This moment is potent. These rhymes that I'm toting. Passing it to Brendon to my left because that's just what I'm gonna do.
Yeah, and that's the way I feel it flowing, because the wolf, I like the way that the wolf is the flow, and because when we remember that, it gives us that permission that it's okay. You don't have to know what words are going to come out of your mouth, what sounds will resonate from your face, because you are the instrument of this divine conscious grace, here to speak words into rhyme, here to be able to show up just in time. And so as we slow down the cadence, let us bring a rhythm this time. For my friends, here we are, messengers of the stars. And it's fun when we can be back in the sandbox of mystery. Ooh, 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 ooh. And so I'll pass the mic to whoever feels like now's the time to keep it real. And maybe that's Brianna, or maybe it's LIse, or maybe it's the people who are watching this on the YouTube channel. Rhyme in the comments, go for it. Brianna, LIse, I'll pass it over to you.
It's all about digging deep and getting inside. What's to think and what to speak. We gotta keep it real, or we won't know how to feel. Break it down now. Boom. Boom, 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 Hey, hey,
We're
look
keeping
at
shifty.
me, I'm the breezy, I'm golden G, 'cause you know it's me. Hey, hey, that's what we gotta be.
Keep it
Step up,
shifty.
step up.
Time to get
Keep it
shifty in
shifty.
here.
Take it away. Hit it, LIse. You saved the day.
Go for it, LIse.
And rolling into a new transition. I've been feeling myself shifting into these new positions, negotiating highways, crossways, byways, weaving timelines and interacting with these space mind, eternal lines flowing and interconnected, and I'm breathing in, breathing out. Kris mentioned something about that heart space and breathing life into this sound, and I feel it and I hear it. And Brianna, she's bringing the fire so we can alchemize and clear it. And the wolf howl, Brendon coming now, rolling with the night, rolling with the day. Stars are moving out in a path before me, and the past before me, after, flowing, timelines shifting, and never quite knowing if you're up or down or moving in between, busting out of the seams.
Keeping it shifting.
Keep it shifting.
Keep it shifting. Keep it shifting.
Your vocal weight lifting. Keep it shifting.
Shifting.
Weightlifting, keep shifting. Gotta do things that keep us lifted.
Get shifty. And I appreciate everyone being here, because this is just a chance for us to keep it real, because we don't know what's going to happen, but when we show up, we can practice expressing our passions, because I want you to be inspired by what we're doing here within this hour, because this is our opportunity to share our gifts. And if you're watching this in the future, then practice stepping into your bliss. Go down by the river and hang out by the stream. Start dancing with the trees, if you know what I mean. Start singing with the birds and ask them how their day's going, because sometimes you need to talk to nature to be able to have it talk back to you, because the colors of the wind are always changing in our sight, and it's okay because we can keep dancing through the night and find your rhythm within your heart, because that's the place to start. And so when you listen to that one beat, then you too will have the permission to take part. So I send my love to all of you across this multidimensional land as we continue to rise together, standing here hand in hand. If anyone else wants to feel called to jump in, we're not. We'll be done when we'll know when we're done.
I have to leave. I love you all.
I guess. Okay, we'll wrap it up. We'll wrap it up then. Yay! That was awesome. Good job, team. That was amazing. That's a single for our next album release. We're working on that. The Paradigm Shift album that will come out in the future. We keep talking about it. We've been talking about it for like 7 years. We're just like, we have so much talent here. We just have to record these tracks.
Ooh, wait, I haven't. So like on
Brianna's
on
done.
that
Okay.
note, I just
Go ahead.
Oh yeah, I was so about that, I had an idea that I want to bring to fruition and that I want to share with you. So it's like I want to make a song. Like, if I'm not sure exactly the name of it that it will be called, but I think it should be called Collective Sigh, where we can like record like a little bit of everyone just kind of like like letting it out from their day, and then make a song where it's just literally like everyone, like it's everyone like sampled together, like sighing and just kind of like having that collective release. And like we can record people, go up to people on the street and just like record them just getting all like their energy out in like the form of a sigh, and then we can make a song together that's just a big long sigh.
I love that.
I like that. Let's just practice some sighs right now. I feel like that's like a good invitation for us to just practice getting into a little heart meditation sigh.
Love it. Yeah.
LIse, is there anything you can lead us through relative to sighing or anything like that? Is this like a thing?
Definitely. Okay,
Cool.
we can do like a voiced and an unvoiced one, just so there's a kind of contrast, and to make you aware of the differences in that kind of release of energy and the sensations that it might bring. So I would just invite you to kind of come into a nice relaxed posture, whether you're sitting or just if you're standing, kind of just come to a resting point for a moment. Bring your intention and focus to where your breath is currently in the body. Just take a moment to feel into where it is. Is it sitting in the chest? Is it actually hiding somewhere down in your feet? Try and kind of grasp where it is and just bring it to your focus. And as you do that, you're kind of allowing the parasympathetic nervous system just to kind of calm itself, and just a little bit of somatic awareness and tuning into.
Okay, I think. Oh no, we're still there. Okay, good. We're good. Keep going. The internet just paused for a second. I think we're good.
3 inhalations, in through the nose and out through the mouth. There's no need to bring additional effort to this process, just really meeting your breath with where it is currently. So we can do that together, just in through the nose and out through the mouth. Again. And one more time. So now we've kind of found where the breath is in the body. We're going to more intentionally move that energy. So we're going to just do an unvoiced release of breath. And we're going to really fill up through the nose as much as we can, really allowing that space in the diaphragm to fill and expand. And you can visualize this kind of balloon of energy inflating as you do this. And when we release on the out breath through the mouth, we're going to engage the diaphragm, and we're pushing that air out as if we're trying to force it through a straw. So I would invite you to just take a nice, big, expansive, energizing breath in. all the way up to full capacity, and then releasing unvoiced. Okay, and we'll just do one voiced one just so that we can kind of feel the different qualities in that energy. So again, we're going to fill up again just with the inhalation through the nose. And when we release, I'd invite you to kind of vocalize that through a sigh, and that can really be any frequency, any sound, any volume that you want. Trust that whatever sound you create is the shift in the energy release that your body is encouraging you to make. So we'll just do that. And let's do another 2 of those, just allowing yourself each time to get more deeply into that sound that comes through. And one more. So yeah, you can use those interchangeably any point during the day. I think it's a good way to shift energy intentionally, you know, whether you're coming from one space into another, allowing yourself to use the voice just to kind of release and let go of anything that you don't wish to carry into your next kind of sequence. And then, yeah, of course, breath work. Like Kris, what you were saying with the breath work stuff, I don't know how much you're like delving into like conscious breath work, but it sounds like that's something that would like really fire you up if it's not already, because it was triggering that for me, just hearing you kind of talking about it, and your idea of like this recording people's breathing, I think is like a really cool idea. Like I quite often find in like a piece of music I like adding a bit of breath maybe at the end, because it's like a really intimate quality, you know. It's like sharing your soul and your essence. So yeah, what you were saying was really like exciting me.
Yeah, I think that even if we don't like have like like this like whole breath work practice that we're getting involved in, like I am actually like like I take these like I've been like with my friend like his name's like the Black Airbender on Instagram, like his name is Devon, and I do these like online like breath work sessions with him. But like I think it's important for everyone just to kind of tune into their breath in any way that that is, and it doesn't need to be in this like super intense like like kind of like style and stuff. But I think it's important for us just sometimes to remember to breathe, because like like not that we're not all breathing all the time, but like to consciously breathe, to just like tune into like what we need, like, and just kind of like come back to like, yeah, like you were saying, you said you're talking about just like intentionally like like shifting like the way in which like we're breathing and stuff like that. And it's important because sometimes we all have this shortness of breath, or we just like are talking all the time, or we just forget to really have that release that's so needed and so important.
Yeah, that's, I think, again, like honestly, if we were able to just educate people to teach them how to breathe properly, like the world would be a different place, because like we forget again, like this body is like this like advanced spiritual metaphysical spaceship, and it's like we weren't given the instruction manual. But if we were, one of them things would have been make sure you take 30 mindful breaths a day, and like especially if you feel like there's energy that you need to move around, because it's literally like a process of like like in out, moving, breathing, and again, it's like when things get stagnant, that's when things like kind of like build up and stuff over time. But LIse and Kris, I appreciate again just being able to bring this to the mindset for our friends listening to this, to the team listening to this. Like, yeah, for everybody here, call to action, challenge, think of it as you will, but yeah, even set like a reminder on your clock of like every half hour or something like that. Like just be like, oh, have I taken any like mindful breaths lately? Have I taken any deep breaths lately? And just notice the difference that it makes throughout your entire day. It happens to us more often than not that we'll literally go through an entire day and we'll just be like, holy crap, like I did not breathe properly once today. Like I was literally just like there, but it was never a, it was never one of those or anything, right? It's always just super shallow. So just about a bunch of mouth breathers and stuff like that. We need to get into the diaphragm breather. I guess that's kind of like a derogatory term, right? Just a bunch of mouth breathers.
What was that from? Wasn't that from some?
I don't. It's probably from a lot of things.
No, I know it was like mouth breather. It was like some.
No, I know, right? It's like that's what you call. I think that's what you call like people who are kind of like, I don't know, like lower IQ, quote unquote, or something like that, right? Which, and again, we don't have to we don't have to say whether it is or it isn't, but I would say it's a great idea to make sure that you're breathing properly and to use your mouth or your nose or whatever. But yeah, to breathe and like visualize and moving energy and again, and I think just being able to hear LISE's experiment and just being able to know that everyone's experience and everyone's kind of got their own experience with how this is actually, again, like therapeutic, like scientifically beneficial to you. So it's like, doctor, what's wrong? Give me more pills. Oh, what? Oh, I just need to breathe properly. Okay, sweet. I can do that. That's great. I can do that. So for everybody here, breathe. That's the takeaway from this broadcast. So cool. All right. Well, I do want to be able to say, let's get close to wrapping up this broadcast, probably within the next like 10-15 minutes. I wanted to be able to bring it back to, again, our topic of passion and how do we cultivate passion and what does that mean? And so I was reading a book earlier today. I was literally like, how many people here go to the bookstore and just like open up and like wait for a book to like jump off the shelf at them to be able to like see what messages it might have for them? And so there was a book that I was reading. It was actually a really cool book. It's called like Chakra Dance. So it's like Chakra Dance. It's one word. And it was all about kind of like creative expression, but in correlation with the chakras. And it kind of went beyond just dance. And I just kind of opened it up and I was just reading through it. But there was one thing and it was all about passion. And and it says like, here are some things to be able to help you find your passion and to be able to nurture it. Because again, it's one of those things that it's something that we need to be able to tend to. It's like a garden. We have to like water it, and we water it with again with time, with attention. And so for those of us who may be thinking, you know, like, I'm having trouble finding my passion, here's just a couple questions here within the book that are good prompts to be able to get people thinking about what they may be passionate about. And so I'll just read these here, and then we'll just kind of get into a little bit of discussion about, like, you know, how did we find our passions? What does passion mean to us? So some of the questions for anybody here to be able to reflect on, to help you reflect on your passion. What have you always loved doing? So take a second to think that. What have you always loved doing? Be like, okay, a lot of things, right? Okay, sweet. Narrow it down a bit. What interest did you have as a child? That's interesting. Okay, what interest did you have as a child? Like, were you into playing instruments as a child? Were you very imaginative as a child? Like, were there particular, like, sports? Or, again, were you always, like, creating art as a child? Try and think back. What games did you play? So, again, kind of within this context, again, talking about, like, more kind of, games can be anything. But, again, games are kind of like a form of kind of, you know, narrowing towards a form of, like, creative participation that really speaks to what our preferences are. What were you naturally good at? So again, just something to think about. What were you doing when you last felt a flood of joy move through you? And so that's a great thing to be able to think about. What were you doing when you last felt a flood of joy move through you? And one of the things within the context of this that I was talking about, a lot of people, because if you're thinking about this, it's just like, oh, what was the last thing? It's just be like, oh, like, okay, like, well, like does kissing count as a passion? Like, does lovemaking count? And it kind of, again, it's just like, a lot of people, and this is kind of the thing, a lot of people feel that they only find passion through lovemaking and through romantic relationships, and they think that like that's where they get their experience of passion, and because they kind of become dependent on that, they stop like kind of like seeking it from other places. So yes, you can say, you know, lovemaking absolutely is something that evokes feelings of floods of joy and everything like that, but beyond that, how can you get a similar sensation from something that is entirely, again, like not related to like not related to like, you know, like making love to another person or making love with yourself or anything like that. And again, that's where with LIse, when I forgot to mention this, but when you were like playing your music at the beginning, again, even when you were playing that, I was noticing like this spine tingling sensations down my back, which again is like a great indicator of kind of like being in that zone where you're just like, ooh, like this is something that's like resonating my frequency. This is something that's like kind of like hitting a tune inside of me. So again, for everybody here, again, you can even just think like being out in nature did that to you. Absolutely. Then that's something that you're passionate about as well. And again, listening to music, playing music, getting up on stage, doing open mic. Think of those things that kind of bring a flood of joy to your body. When do you feel most alive? When, and this is a question, when connecting with other people, traveling, doing something creative. So again, even just for like all of us here, like just think about this as we search for our passions. Like, when do we feel most alive? For myself, like I can say like I feel most alive when I'm like in like a creative process of expressing something important to my soul, you know, like, and Kris, you were kind of talking about this earlier, where like if we don't listen to that part of ourself that is like trying to express itself, it will feel like there's a part of us that's just like stagnant, or just like it, I don't want to say dead, but it's like something missing, you know, it's just like not fulfilled. And again, that's where like we have to observe, because if you feel like you're quote unquote like not fulfilled or depressed, then that is actually like your kind of like soul's way of speaking to you, saying that like something needs to change. Because you can, again, like with like by being able to, and I'm not trying to get too much into like the clinical elements of depression and everything like that, but again, like more so when you go out of your way to be able to seek these experiences, to be able to like bring the things that make you feel alive into your everyday life, you have to kind of go outside your comfort zone, because sometimes like you're not always going to feel most alive when you're just like doing something that you're familiar with. You kind of have to do something that you've never done before. What makes you shine from the inside out? What actions, I like this one. What section of the bookstore are you drawn to? That's a great question, right? And I'm sure like how many of us are just like, oh, I just go look at the weird like parapsychology books, right? So, and here we are. What did you want to be when you grew up? So again, these are just kind of like generic questions, but again, just kind of like opening up the discussion here. Yeah, like what is everyone's thoughts here on either just passion, or again, like keeping in mind for the people watching this, how they might be able to find their passion, to cultivate our passion, the importance of passion. We don't have to get too deep in it, but we'll just kind of practice talking here for a little bit, because it is important. And that's what, again, I think when people who are like connecting to you through your community, who you're building authentic relationship with as a creator, they will resonate with something that you're passionate about, like that. And I think if you look at that, like that's why people really like following particular YouTube creators. It may be like they may be talking about something that may be incredibly mundane, but if that person is incredibly passionate about it, then people tune into that, and they're just like, I'm just blown away by the fact that this is something that this guy like gets so excited about, and then it makes me get excited about it because he's so excited about it. And he could be talking about like, you know, like unboxing Lego sets or something like that, which is actually quite exciting now that I think about it. But again, right, like passion is this thing that we can see it. Like it's not something that you scientifically measure, but we can acknowledge it, and it's valuable. And again, for us as creators, by being able to make sure that we're not only expressing our passions, but we're putting our passion into what we're creating, the audience is able to see that and really just be able to like resonate with it on a deeper level. And again, it goes back to your value is you being your authentic self. Like that is your job. Your job is to be your authentic self and to bring that passion to the forefront. So any thoughts on passion? And maybe even just like, have you ever been like, were there ever times where you saw someone else sharing their passion and it totally just inspired you? Because again, when we think about that, it's like, oh, you go see like a live music show and suddenly you see them up on stage sharing their passion, and it's just like, I want to do that one day, right? So you can think again how us sharing our passions gives other people permission to be able to share passions. And our passions are more than just passions. They're literally tools and gifts for helping change the world by sharing inspiration. LIse, Kris, either one of you jump in. We'll just kind of popcorn style around. So,
cool. Yeah. Well, I would like to sort of briefly talk about struggles related to passion, just briefly, just to make a point about finding adequate space to cultivate and express. So that's something I can relate to voice work. So, as you're kind of exploring the voice and maybe, playing with um, performance and kind of moving into, like setting aside time to maybe like practice, or this could be applied to like any creative pursuit, but particularly with the voice, there's so much vulnerability around that because you're basically doing energy work in one form or another. And I think over the years, because I do a lot of traveling and kind of moving about, and I don't have my own kind of space, physical space yet. So I've kind of been, you know, uh, sharing space with others and trying to like fit into frameworks, and make a little like part of that, somewhere that I feel safe to like explore my passion. And I think those spaces are not often easily found. And when you're feeling a lack of provision in your community or in your home environment or anywhere like that, I think that is the best indicator you need to like really make the effort to carve out space for yourself, because it's so easy to be triggered and affected by your response to like sharing yourself and your soul work and your kind of deeper creative work, and knowing that that is kind of can be a vulnerable process. And you don't always want to be seen in those moments. You kind of sometimes you need some privacy, and so I think it's really crucial. Like it's something I am still doing. I think it's always something that I'm thinking about is, how can I carve out space for myself? Where is that going to be? What do I actually need? What tools do I need? What kind of environment do I need? And really kind of sit down and try and give yourself a little bit of time to like map that out and kind of envisage what that might look like. And then through that process, I guess you kind of create a vision board, if you like. And some of those things might not be available to you in that moment, but then you get into a problem solving process to try and find solutions to that. But I would encourage everyone to really like push themselves to that point of like make sure you give yourself that, because it's not a luxury, it is a necessity. And I think Brianna kind of touched on that as well, of that like igniting that kind of that fire and that flame. It needs tending to, it needs cultivating, like stove in the background. Like I need to like give it fuel and feed it, and that applies so much to our creative life as well. So yeah, that I just wanted to briefly mention that, because that's like a theme that kind of comes up for me. And if you guys are kind of very mobile and like to travel as well, it's hard often to find that kind of safe space, I think, is what I'm talking about. And yeah, in terms of like processes to stimulate and to connect with that, yeah, like drawing for me has always been a really great tool, like a visual tool. And I'm not doing enough of it at the moment, but I kind of keep trying to integrate it into stuff I'm doing. So like starting to design logos and things like that, which kind of feeds into the voice work. But I always used it as a tool to just to get the energy out, and to let it flow. And I think if you're creating a routine of doing that in one form or another, it doesn't have to be rigid, but as long as you're giving yourself outlets, it doesn't matter what energy you're working with. If you're kind of doing shadow work, or you're kind of in a kind of lower kind of frequency, like that is still information, it's still energy to be used for benefit. And only through the process of releasing and sharing it can you kind of alchemize it and transmute it into sort of some creative gold. And it might not be stuff that you share with people, but you know, over time, maybe you find like a way to begin to be more vulnerable and more open to like letting other people into that world, but always leave a bit of space for yourself as well, you know, like a little, some creations that are just yours. So yeah.
That's really cool. I really appreciate what you said there, LIse, and I'll just mention a real quick thing and pass over to Kris again, just kind of hitting upon what you said, like the importance of us holding space, and again, you know, just reminding for individuals who are tuned into this, like to be able to again like practice inviting other people, you know, to express themselves, to create that safe space where they feel encouraged and supported. And if you want to think about like why this matters, again, you know, think of like how you would treat a child. Say if like, you know, like if a child, if you're just like, you're like, oh, let's hear you play that instrument, and then they play that instrument, and then you're just like, oh, you suck at it, you might as well stop, right? Like that's going to hurt the child. They'll probably like never pick up that instrument again. But again, if you're like holding space in an encouraging way, and you're just like, be like, yo, that was really awesome, that was really great, and again, just like it's really cool to just be able to see you sharing and expressing. And so what happens over time is, again, you know, like for us as leaders, we can make a huge impact in our community through one-on-one interactions where we're supporting our friends and encouraging them and helping them feel safe in this expression. And again, just being able to create like bigger events, larger events where again people are being able to just like, and I think LIse basically said it, you know, very simply put, but again, just like feeling safe to express themselves. And I think that's the issue, is that in a lot of ways today's culture has made people feel unsafe in expressing themselves, because they think, you know, people are going to comment rude things, and they think that people are going to think it's stupid and things like that. So if you ever see your friend like, again, like sharing a video of them like playing guitar for the first time, go out of your way to just like leave a supportive comment, create that safe space digitally and physically as well. And that's like super, super important. Just think, you know, like what would you have wanted when you were starting with your creative expression, in whatever context. But yeah, that's really good. And again, and just the consistency of creating space for us to be able to practice too. And again, knowing that not everything is going to be for meant to be shared. Some of it literally just might be for you, which is super great. And then you get to witness it and see it and be like, whoa, like good job, higher consciousness, look what we created. So all right, Kris, I'll pass it over to you, and again, we'll just chit chat just for no more than probably, I would say, 10 minutes, and we're going to wrap it up here. Kris, go right ahead.
I wanted to definitely, you know, touch upon a couple of things that LIse said, and you know, like just like while it's like fresh in my mind, like, you know, just to like make a comment about like, you know, like what you were saying, like, you know, like with like in terms of like, you know, like encouraging like, you know, like people's expression and stuff like that. And really, like, I think it's important too to like um to encourage all forms of expression, like, you know, and really like no matter what that expression even looks like that's like my personal belief too, is that like, you know, it's like it's better for someone to sometimes express themselves in the negative, you know, than not expressing themselves at all. Like, you know, so like for example, at the open mic night that I held like space for, you know, for all these people, like, you know, like it's like we as people who are creating these spaces for people to express themselves need to like keep in mind and know that like, you know, some people are just like residing on a different level of frequency, you know, like where they like, you know, like may just be like, you know, like expressing all this stuff that like, you know, we may interpret or like, you know, view as being very dark, you know, like, and it's something that, you know, maybe we don't really resonate with like so much ourselves. But I think that it's so important to, you know, like be encouraging people to express themselves, like, you know, in whatever form that is, like, you know, and whatever that looks like ultimately, you know, like, because it's like, you know, light or dark, it's a beautiful thing for us to express and get out like these like things that are, you know, kind of like within us, like, you know, because ultimately, like, you know, I think that when we are expressing ourselves, it's this release, you know, and it's releasing all of this tension that like, you know, like is ultimately like building up within us. And you know, if we're not releasing that, then it's just going to, you know, like it can lead to things like, you know, as like in the extreme sense, like, you know, like to people committing suicide. And you know, it's important for people, you know, to not feel that way, you know, to not feel like that they can't express themselves or they can't share these things. And so yeah, just to kind of like talk about that for like a second. But yeah, and then the other thing that you were talking about, like LIse, was just like talking about the importance of really like delegating time for yourself, like as well as like, time for others. And you were kind of touching upon like that aspect of like, really like being able to have time, like have me time, have like time for yourself also, because I think that oftentimes when we all start, like giving and sharing in these like open platforms and in these open spaces, sometimes like we can like, just because we start like finally getting that recognition and being seen and stuff like that, sometimes we can oftentimes like get caught up in that and just feel like we need to keep sharing, or else like, like people aren't gonna you know what I mean, like that they're not gonna like see us anymore. But ultimately it's like it's important to cultivate and carve out that time to give to ourselves so that we can adequately give to others and give all that we can to others. It's like we need to love ourselves before we can love others ultimately. And it's just like, another thing that people say often is like, you can't pour from an empty cup. It's like important that, when we are giving and sharing our passions, to carve out time to, for self-care, and to like actually really take time to care about ourselves and stuff, because like, then we really can't adequately care for others and stuff. It just, it's that cycle. It's constantly like something to keep the momentum going, to touch upon what you were saying before, in order to keep the momentum going and not reach burnout in 2020 like you were talking about. We need to constantly be nourishing ourselves, like, and that goes like physically, it goes creatively, like, and that's like, it's upon all levels of our being. It transcends just like, the idea of like, physically nourishing ourselves, but it's nourishing ourselves creatively. It's nourishing ourselves in all forms and all ways. So yeah.
Awesome. Sweet. Thank you again, Kris, for sharing. And yeah, again, like I think I'm sure we've all noticed this, but like it's interesting to be able to notice like there's kind of like a time and a place where we'll feel like, okay, like I'm ready to like dive in and work on my craft and get really passionate and stuff like that. And yeah, like there are some days where I'm just like, I'll listen to my body and I'll be like, okay, I'm excited to create today, like let's dive into this. And then there are other days where it's just like I don't think I could create today if I tried. And that's an okay feeling, because that's basically my body just saying now's time to rest type thing. So like it really is about being able to like get tuned in with your body and kind of like honor creating rhythms and creating the space and the routine and being like, okay, between X and this hour, this is my creative work period and this is where I do. Or again, maybe it's like when I go out into the woods and practice freestyle in the forest and stuff like that. Like that's what I do. Like I do that. Like I was literally doing that today, where like yeah, no, it's seriously, it really helps me, where it's like I can talk out loud, like no one can hear me, and I'm just literally just like walking back and forth through the woods, and I'm just kind of like doing kind of what we're doing, like practice flowetry, and I'm just kind of like speaking and using my vocals and everything like that. Yeah. So I mean, again, like something like that, that that space like makes it really easy for me to just be like, okay, sweet. So again, like it's also about being able to, part of it, and we'll wrap it up here in a minute, is again, I feel like in today's day and age, a lot of people have this like abundance of creativity, but we don't have the channels to be able to express the creativity. It's like it's getting stuck on a dam. So that dam can be created by someone else telling us we're not worthy, an old belief system, and it can also come just from like a lack of knowledge about being able to use tools to be able to express ourselves. And again, that's a big thing of how I want to be able to help assist people, by just giving them more confidence to be able to become familiar with creating online content. And so that way they're like, yo, okay, I got an awesome video I want to make, or I got a song I'm going to create, and then they know like how to be able to bring that through the flow and to be able to express ourselves. So again, getting to the end of the broadcast, and we'll just go around the circle one more time with any closing thoughts and gratitude. I love the idea of being able to think of ourselves as ambassadors for higher consciousness. And what does it mean to be an ambassador? That means like really having to like there's work involved with that, like meaning we have to assist the process of a message coming through. And sometimes that means just kind of like sitting in stillness to be able to like listen to what that inspiration and what that message is. It means investing in ourselves. It means surrounding ourselves with other creative people. It means going outside of our comfort zone, trying new things, trying familiar things, focusing on the things that make our heart sing. And over time, like again, like that's we're literally like godness in individual human form, like bringing forth the wisdom of godness, and I'm using that term very loosely, into today's culture. And again, sometimes it will be explicit, sometimes it will be implicit, but ultimately over time, what we're doing is nurturing culture, and we're nurturing the creative spirit, and we're nurturing the resurgence of art within today's day and age, and art with like intention and purpose and celebration and everything like that. And again, it's through our art that we use the language to be able to tell the story that we are creating together. And again, it's a very beautiful story that we're creating together. It's this literal like grassroots, like rising up of the artist, entrepreneur, creator, leader, again, shifter, light guardian archetype that each and every single one of us has. And again, that's like the ripple that can be created by just inspiring more and more people, and by knowing, again, just the value of holding space for one another and celebrating what we're creating together. So speaking of that, I just want to thank everybody again who's tuned into this broadcast. Be sure to, as we get closer to wrapping it up, we're going to go around one more time. Be sure to connect with the leading members who are here in this broadcast. And again, please feel free to send them a direct message. Like, you can practice by just like communicating your celebration and your gratitude by sending them a direct message. So again, you can connect to Brianna on Instagram. We'll post the links into the video chat as well. And you can connect to Kris, and you can connect to LIse as well if you haven't already yet. And we'll post the links for those into the chat. And with that said, again, just kind of like moving forward, let's just keep building the momentum, let's keep building the story, and let's just keep featuring and celebrating and creating and supporting. And we're doing it, and it's a slow and steady thing, but again, I know what we're doing here as a community is very, very valuable, and I know a lot of people who watch these broadcasts really value the idea of, again, the tribe coming together and us being able to do it in this sacred digital space. So Kris or LIse, I'll pass it to either one of you if any again, just kind of like closing thoughts and gratitude you would like to be able to express. So whoever would like to go first, go ahead.
Yeah, echoing all you've said, and thanks as well. This sort of dynamic and this quality of discussion is really stimulating, and it's something, I'm consciously like being okay. I want to have more of this happening in my life, and bringing that quality to other people's experience as well. So yeah, I think it's amazing that we're able to do this. It's utilizing technology in a powerful way, and kind of sharing that heart energy, which, there's more of that is always a good thing. And yeah, also your points earlier about kind of collaboration, which I didn't kind of go too much into when we're talking about passion, and but I have to say, like, the collaboration point and having sounding boards and other people to bounce ideas off of, I agree that is really when very, very powerful, shifting and transformation does happen, because it's like a feedback and this continuous energy loop between yourself and the space that it's within, and that can be a virtual space like this one, and then everybody that's involved, because yeah, like the energy of this call is like so up there. It's really stimulating, and so I think, yeah, it's like pushing yourself. I was chatting to someone today actually, and we kind of this topic of like resistance came up, and it's something that was kind of brought this concept was kind of brought to me through another community, and it's this sort of feeling that, resistance doesn't have to be viewed as a problem. Actually, it's a really, really good indicator. It's like the universe is giving you information. It's like an energetic response to the energy that you're putting out, and whatever is triggered by that feeling of resistance is, the information that you need to know in order how to move forward, or where to rest, or, you make that assessment based on your intuition and, how you feel into that situation. But yeah, so I think kind of taking that like brave step to be more effortful in collaboration with other people, it can only come good, because if you're not destined to work and share together, then see that as like universe is closing one door so another one can open. So there's always going to be like a positive to take out of that. So yeah, thanks so much for holding the space, Brendon. Appreciate.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank
Thank you so much for bringing
Brianna.
your energy to it. Yeah. Very, very. Again, like I'm just for those of you who are watching this, in case you didn't realize, this is the revolution. Like this is it. Like this is it. Like right here. Like us coming together as leaders and collaborating and inspiring and like lighting the beacon, which lights the other beacons. Like this is the revolution. So, Kris, go ahead. I'll pass it to you, and I might end with like a little bit of flowetry, and then we'll wrap it up. Kris, go ahead, dude. Thanks again. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, so I mean, like you just, yeah, like what you just said is so true. Like we are all way showers. We are all showing each other a different way of life, a different way of being through our beingness, through our being here. Through the different things that we do. And I just like I was thinking about the word for some reason. The word brainstorm, and you really think about what that word means. Or you try to like visualize like the idea of like brains in the sky, right? Almost like raining down and like like lightning coming from them and stuff like that. If you really think about that idea, it's like the idea that like when we come together to brainstorm, it's almost like we're like raining down all of these thoughts and all of these ideas, like like they condense into these like droplets and stuff like that, that like like are able to be felt by people in one way or another. And when you think about the idea of a storm, there's normally lightning that's associated with that. And lightning is normally associated with like the whole idea of like these like flashes of inspiration and like these things like that. So when we all come together to brainstorm, it's like it is like this storm. It's like all this energy, like that's just being shared and stuff like that. And like it's just like giving this like example in our physical reality of like what a storm is too. It's kind of like, yeah, I don't know, I was just thinking about that idea, and I wanted to share that. But aside from that, I just really want to share, yeah, like my like so much gratitude and appreciation for like you like holding this space. Like like I'm really happy that I can be a part of it. You've been doing this for a long time, and I'm really looking forward to connecting in this space more, to be able to share these ideas and thoughts. Like this is a relatively new thing for me. Like I just like I had Discord, but I didn't really know how to use it. And then like, like the Zoom video chat, but like these are all such great tools. Like, like we've been using that word multiple times tonight, but like technology nowadays, like it's like it's this double-edged sword. Like all tools are ultimately, nothing is inherently good or evil. Like we can use technology to bring us together more than ever in this age of information, where we can connect more than ever before. And like that is part of the revolution. Like it is part of this, like like mass awakening. Like technology is playing a very big part in that, like in connecting all of us. Like like in the past, like we wouldn't be able to do this. Like you need to literally like cross land masses. You know what I mean? Like back in, what I mean? Like it was just the spread of information was so much slower versus nowadays, when things are just delivered so quickly, and that has its upsides and downsides, like as we all probably know. But yeah, it's just so beautiful, and I'm so grateful for you. You having this space, and for you doing all light work that you're doing, in helping to raise the vibration of humanity, and we're all doing that work, everyone who is stepping into their power and ultimately opening up to share, express, connect. And yeah, I'm so grateful to have met LIse and Brianna tonight to make those wonderful connections. So I encourage anyone who is watching this video to give Brendon like a follow at like Paradigm Shift Central, and like to, if you feel called to to subscribe to his Patreon, so that you can be a part of these video chat sessions, because like I'm filled with so much gratitude, and like it's such an amazing thing that like I'm happy to be a part of.
Awesome. Kris, thank you so much for your kind words, and yeah, and helping again, like, yeah, I know you're saying like, yeah, like support Brendon, but at the same time it's like inviting people to be like, yeah, be like, play this with us, like, because again, you know, like that's basically like the way how I've created Paradigm Shift Central. A big part of it was from this mindset of creating this as like this real world interactive game to help shift consciousness. And there were periods where I was kind of like branding it as that, but then I kind of dialed back the branding on that because I didn't want it to confuse people and I just wanted to simplify it. But honestly, in a very realistic way, like for the people listening and tuned into this, like, yes, like, play this game with us. Like, we've created this container for this game, and you can play it by like watching, and again by going deeper by signing up to the Patreon. And when you play it, it's like us like being in this space, and by saying, you know, like, hey, like, let's practice showing up as creators. Again, let's see what spirit wants to be able to speak through us in this moment. And that's, as we come back to these synergy circles, we're constantly going to kind of go back to like dropping into that space of asking ourselves, like, what is needed in this moment as leaders. And that's where like each broadcast, it will be kind of like, some of them are pre-planned, but then others it's just kind of a container that the universe gets to fill, and it gets to fill itself through our presence and our communication and us just showing up. And so again, I'm just super, super grateful to see the Paradigm Shift Central project continuing to refine itself, and it really coming into this vision of this amazing team of creators, and for us to be able to send out this signal that's going to continue to attract more creators. And there's literally like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of us. So the many that will be able to feature through the project, I'm excited to do so. And again, like, just imagining like, where will this project be in 100 years from now? Yeah, where will this project be in 1,000 years from now? My goodness, just imagine flying in our own UFOs and stuff. But imagine this project in a year from now, of just like how incredibly, again, it goes back to that question of what is needed. And from me meditating on that question, what is needed is us coming together as leaders. And it's not even to say like us coming together as leaders and then XYZ, we know exactly what's going to happen. Again, it's kind of like this experiment where it's like, let's come together, and then kind of like the path will reveal itself. Like, it will just kind of like, ideas will start flowing, we'll get more clarity. And again, it's always anchored in that intention, which again is like supporting and like shared inspiration, and just being able to celebrate what we're creating and featuring that, and again serving as a single platform for many voices and documenting the shared experience of our shared story. So I'm just gonna end it up just with like a little bit of conscious, like, kind of like poetry to get people hyped. I'll try and drop into, I'm gonna pretend I was in the, like, this is basically like me like in the woods, and I'd be doing like Jedi training and then I kind of like get into the zone, and I'd be like and I get like all pumped up. I kind of like imagine I'm like talking in front of like a crowd, and I'm trying to like spark a revolution or something like that, right? Like, this is how I practice. So it'd be like something where I'd just be like, and so, my friends, let us stand here on this day. Let us show each other that there is always a way. For we are in the generation where we shall always play in this game, where we shall show others that it's okay to be friendly and kind, for compassionate is the way in which we shall change these minds. So let us send out this signal across the land. Let others be heard and know that it is when we share the gifts that are in our hands. Let us take our hands out of our pocket. The apathy has left its path, and let us step into the new ways in which we show up and we kick ass. And we kick ass with compassion, and we kick ass with creativity, and we show all the people of the many ways in which we can be. And so we celebrate the path that we are on now, and we remind each other that it is within this dance that we will show others how to drop into this space, how to listen with grace, how to show up and be humble, and to bring a smile to that face that may be looking at you from across the bus. And with this simple glare and that gift from above, let us bring more love into this world. Let us show that there is hope for all the boys and all the girls. And let us continue to weave the stories of this path to show others that this is the message that will continue to last. And so, fellow light guardians and shifters, as we stand here on this day, let us continue to send out the message that will show others the way. Oh, the revolution has started. Wolf howl for everybody listening. I don't care if you're on a bus. I want you to do it. Wake up your neighbors. Yeah, okay. Tell them the revolution has started. So, go knock on the door. It started. The revolution has started. Be like, what are you talking about?
It's here.
Sundays at 7 p.m. The revolution has started. Basically, right? So, but yeah, no, absolutely. And again, what happens from here is that we take this energy and we weave it with us into culture. We weave it into society. We go out there, we start planting seeds. We're creating synchronicities. We're building connections. People start networking through us. More people start coming together. They eventually find out about this project. And again, the inspiration just builds, and the signal just becomes like more heard, and more people get invited to be a part of the story that we are creating together. And again, that story is about a global team of shifters, people who are intentionally helping assist consciousness through acts of creativity and compassion. When I made this project, a very simple way of me explaining it was helping encourage people to choose to be the change they wish to see. And that choice comes from a place of power. It comes from a place of understanding, and it comes from a place of shared inspiration. When you see other people out there doing it, it's a lot easier for you to just be like, I'm on this. I'm doing it too. And we're showing up together. So awesome. All right. I feel pretty satisfied with where things are, so we're gonna get close to wrapping up this broadcast. Any last, like, literally just like one sentence message for the people out there, LIse and Kris, if you just want to share like little nugget of wisdom for the people tuned in, go ahead. LIse, I'll pass over to you, and yeah, maybe just take a second. Let's just kind of do that. Take a second and just kind of like see what Spirit wants to say.
Flow into the self you are destined to become.
Nice. Kris, pass over to you.
We all have so much to give, and it's about time that we start giving it.
Beautiful. Awesome. Absolutely. Sweet. And yes, if I were to just take a breath here. Remember, you are already exactly where you need to be in order to get where you are going, and everything that you need is already within arm's reach. So, cool. And don't be afraid to ask for help either. So, cool. All right. So with that said, we're going to wrap up this broadcast. Thank you again to those of you watching on Facebook. Make sure that you subscribe at youtube.com/SkullBabylon so that you can tune in for future Synergy Circles and all the other broadcasts that we got going on. Global meditations on the full moon, the live tarot readings with Wolf that I do, lots of other content. And again, that's at Skull Babylon on YouTube. We currently got there's still about like almost like over 40 people tuned into this broadcast right now. So again, for all those 40 people, go to the YouTube, connect with the show notes to be able to connect to the following leading members of this broadcast: LIse, Kris, Brianna, myself, Brendon. Check out more at patreon.com/Brendon Culleton to be able to see about signing up as a leading member to add your support at the $11 level. And when you sign up there, yes, you can also get one of these beautiful Lemurian Light Guardian crystals at the $11 level. Item discounts for the Quest item shop, which is our buttons that we use for helping shift consciousness, and of course access to all the other perks of a leading member. Work alongside me with your conscious media creation coach, and yeah, you can join our team chat regardless. Just stay in sync. Message me on Instagram at Mystic Spider-Man if you have any questions. Just please feel free to let me know. Subscribe to iTunes at Paradigm Shift Radio. And again, you can just explore ParadigmShiftCentral.com for all the links there. And let your friends know. And go out there. Like, again, giving you the call to action. Like, go out there. Carry this inspiration with you. To create time and space to begin cultivating your passions, to cultivate your art, to cultivate your gifts, to cultivate your magic. You are a badass techno wizard shaman person who is here to help change the world, and I'm super grateful for you to be here as a part of this story. So for everyone listening to this, from my heart to yours, thank you for showing up, and on behalf of all the other people here with me, thank you for being here as well. So beautiful. All right, so thank you again, everyone. Wrapping up this broadcast now, we're going to play the outro music, and join us again on another Synergy Circle broadcast presented through Paradigm Shift Central, Sundays at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Check out the recordings when you can. Like this video, leave your comments below, continue the discussion, and as always, much love, peace, and wholeness. Keep it shifty, and we will see you in the future. Bringing up that outro music, let's make some noise for all the people tuned into this. Send out some love. All right. Awesome. Great job, everyone. Thank you so much. See you soon. Special thank you to Danny Leonardo, whose music is featured at the beginning and end of this broadcast. Be sure to check out more of their work in the YouTube info. Thank you, Danny.